Hey, welcome to the very first edition of Phinesse Speaks. It's a weekly blog talking about some tips when it comes to your career as an indie music artist or as an author, artist, or whatever. It's just my thoughts from being in the business for the last 30 years. For the folks who don't know me, my name is Phinesse. My background hails from being a radio disc jockey upstate New York, starting when I was about 17, 18 years old. Moved on from there into programming and music production. Also became a TV host, entertainment reporter, film director, program director for a talk radio station. Currently now, I own my own business, which is Love Flight Productions, LFP Media, and I'm a freelance writer. I have my own column called Indie Soul in the Baltimore Times, and I'm also one of the figureheads behind My Soul Radio. You can check it out at mysoulradio.com, www.mysoulradio.com. And I decided to do this blog because so many people are constantly asking me for advice. I manage several different artists, Nikkei, Tennille, Bad News. I'm also partnered up with Project 804 as well as Action Jackson Production. They're responsible for helping me put this blog together as well. So, you know, I wanted to give my ideas and tips as a manager, as a public relations person, just to give you some advice. This is some free advice for you, you know, and it may not be all correct. It may not be useful for you, but it's something for you to think about. You know, how you may manage and do something with one artist, you may not do it with the next. So advice that you may give one person may not be the same advice you give somebody else. So I hope that, you know, this blog helps you in your endeavors, and please feel free to email me. That email is lfpmedia.finessedimps@gmail.com. All right. So my very first blog, what I want to talk about, this is something I see going on, and even with my music artists, they've asked me a few times. I know a lot of you folks, you know, you check out Craigslist and you see these advertisements for these big shows that are coming to town, and they're looking for artists to participate. And they say to that artist, in order to participate, you're going to have to pay a fee to get in. What's my thoughts on that? Now, most managers will jump at the opportunity. They'll pay that fee for these artists to be part of that venue or event. For me, I don't like it, and I'm against it. And here's why. No artist should be paying to perform. It's either one of two ways. Either you are getting paid to perform, or you are coming on board for exposure. It's either those two things. Now, I will throw in this. There are some venues where you'll perform and you get paid based on the number of people that come into the door, or you get a percentage. You know, that's still getting paid to perform or play. But you have to work out all those details. But as far as these ads where you see on Craigslist or in these newspapers, to be honest with you, it's crap. And here's why. And I'm not knocking anybody's hustle, but I want people to think before they do some things. So a lot of promoters are going to get mad at this because I'm putting it out there, but it's the truth. Big labels are not doing these shows no more. They don't have the money or the budget. Now, I know there's a lot of ads that say such and such is behind it, or this person is behind it, and that 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. I deal with a lot of record labels from doing my reviews for radio and for print, and I can tell you firsthand, they're not doing that. And if they are doing it, they don't need assistance from somebody out in the street. They're going to take care of it themselves. So you have to, you know, my advice to you folks who want to open up for some of these artists, and if you think that's, you know, this is legit, ask questions and get proof. Do not just give your money just because somebody said, oh, you're going to get a chance to perform. Because here's another scenario why it may not happen. Most of the artists that go out and perform, they have an opening act. And they would prefer to have their opening act versus somebody else opening up for them. Now, it's different when you have a community festival for an event. That's different. They may get somebody else locally, but usually that's your local government that's doing that and putting on these festivities versus a promoter in the club. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but 9 times out of 10, that being the case, and these artists, they have their own open act. They don't want anybody else and they really care about being upstaged. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to get legit answers to your legit questions that you ask. Find out before you hand over somebody your money and then you stuck. Perfect example, and I can use them because they my boys in my group. Bad News. They were told that they were going to perform for some, open up for somebody at Six Flags. They paid their money. Supposedly they got in. They get up to Six Flags thinking they're going to open up for somebody, and then they don't. Sorry, young boy and Mus. But, you know, I'm just using y'all for example. I love you. No disrespect. But that's just, you know, one of the things you got to look out. Be smart about what you do when you're going to do these shows. I'm against it. It doesn't make sense for you to pay to perform. Here's the other thing of that. Most of these, I'm not going to say most, some of these promoters, they have enough for a deposit for the artist. And they don't want to put all their money up. So what they'll do is they'll get some of these no-name artists in the city. They get them to say, yeah, you could come perform. You know, it's going $300. You know, you could open up. One, it's not guaranteed. But basically what they're doing is they're getting the other half of this money up to pay this artist. And there's no guarantee that 30 groups of artists come on and they're going to perform. So you got to think about those things when you go in and you paying your money to perform for something that you really have no guarantee. If you're going to perform, one, and two, if this artist is even going to show up. So you really have to look at some of these things. And I'm sorry I put some of you promoters out there, but stop stretching and reaching for artists that you know you can't afford and bringing shows and taking money from the little guy. These are independent artists. I don't care if it's hip-hop, country, R&B, rock, whatever it is. Independent artists only have so much money. If you want to give them the exposure, give them the opportunity to open up an act because you think that they are good. Don't have 20, 30, not even 10, 5 opening acts for somebody. Narrow it down to 1 or 2. Budget out the number of minutes each group is going to get or a set they're going to get, and give them the opportunity to really perform and build up their resume, really opening up and doing the showcase that they could be proud of. Not charging somebody, you know, $300 plus they got to pay to get into the club, which is crazy to me that anybody would do that. But they got to pay to get into the club, and then they're only doing 5-10 minutes. So you got to be careful when you go do these shows. I'm thoroughly against it. I think there's some other ways that folks can get shows and get the exposure that they need. Exposure is going to be one of the topics I talk about later on in the coming weeks. But I'm talking about these shows right now. And if you're interested in really doing a show, stop all the beef between, and it's going to sound like I'm talking to the hip-hop crowd. But I'm talking to people from different cities, different sections of the city. Or I don't want to go here and perform. Or I don't like this artist. Cut all that out. Everybody cut all that out. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if one of the concerts I went to when I was younger was James Brown, LTD, the Commodores, and the Jacksons, or the Jackson 5 at that time? Can you imagine if they say, oh, I don't want to travel with this person, I got beef because they from here or I'm from there? You make your money on the road. And in order to make money on the road, you got to be able to work with groups and go out on the road. And I think there's a lot of great talent. I don't care if it's in Daytona Beach, Baltimore, Maryland, upstate New York. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of talent everywhere. Y'all got to cut out the beef amongst each other and really go out in the streets, go to different cities, go in different states, and put on showcases. There are a lot of great places where you could perform. There are a lot of great people that are looking for you to come and perform in their areas. So you got to take the opportunity yourself to go out and do that. So cut out where you from. Cut out, oh, I don't like this person and that. If you care about your music, you care about your career, then work together. Find somebody you can mesh with. Go out on the road, and do your thing. Stop thinking about trying to hit the big cities. Nothing against Atlanta, nothing against New York, nothing against LA, but there are a lot of great places in between. Lincoln, Nebraska is a great place. Cleveland, Ohio is another great place. There's spots in Indiana. So cut out the beef. And for you folks that will be watching, looking in different areas, listening and looking from different areas, it's not about where you at as far as where you live. It's about where you at up here. And there's a lot of great music out there, and you're missing out on the opportunity to hear some great music. So that's all I want to give for advice for this week. Thank you for listening to Phinesse Speaks. I may not know everything, but I know a little bit. So until next week, peace, love, blessings. See you next time, Phinesse Speaks. Peace.